Okay, so public events that really work. Why did we have 400 people on last week's call for client events and 60 on this week's public events, WebEx? Well, I believe it's because advisors know that public seminars are not really the way of the future, but perhaps even the way of the past. And so here I am giving a WebEx about public seminars, and I'm going to tell you that this is probably the most expensive and least effective way to market. So guess what? I'm not here to sell you on public seminars today. I'm going to tell you a little background. For those of you who don't know, prior to coming over to run Platinum, I was the Vice President of Marketing at a large independent investment management firm, managed about $1 billion. And then after that, I was the Vice President at another firm with my current business partners, Thomas Frost and Robert Frost. When I got in the industry about 8 years ago, we built all of our business from public seminars. That's what we did. We did a seminar a week. We got all of our clients that way. We'd spend a little bit of money, mail out 3,000 to 5,000 pieces, pack a room, and pick up clients. And it was great. It was easy. But over time, we saw less and less people attending our workshops. And they were more and more cynical, skeptical. And since that time, we've seen the proliferation of people masquerading as financial advisors who are really not, holding seminars, pushing clients into products that aren't suitable for them. And then, of course, you have legislation, companies and organizations like the AARP out there trying to warn seniors about the dangers of free lunch seminars. And so there's been a little pall cast over this area of our industry as well. So if you are experiencing lower attendance and lower results at public seminars, that is not surprising. However, for some advisors who don't have an established book of business to leverage for referrals, who don't have enough clients to host client events and generate business from, who don't have a media presence, public seminars may still be an effective way to get in front of people. But here's the thing. It depends on your area. It depends on your personal ability. It depends on the quality of the campaign. There are so many factors involved. So there is a right way and a wrong way to do them. In some areas, they just don't work. In other areas, they do. So we're going to go through all the factors today, because if this is a form of marketing that you need to rely on, we need to figure out together how to really optimize it. And, of course, that's a big part of the purpose of your Platinum membership, because we'll tweak it and tweak it until we get the formula right. Part of the formula, though, that you have to know right off the beginning is, again, realistic expectations. I showed this same slide last week in my client events WebEx to stress the importance of client events. Personal introductions are the way the affluent pick their advisors typically. So public seminars are chasing a smaller piece of the market. So what I'm urging you to do is look at your practice and say, okay, if seminar marketing is going to be a piece of my business, how am I going to make sure it's just a piece and not the whole thing? Because if you rely solely on this marketing method, you'll limit yourself. I'm going to recommend that you take maybe a portion of your marketing budget and do this, but you've got to do other activities too. So I just want to stress that at the beginning. I also want to show you how you calculate the ROI of public seminars, because this is something you need to do too to see, hey, is this paying off for me or not? I don't want you to dump money into it if it's not working. So here's an example. If we mail 10,000 pieces for you, at best you should expect a 0.5% response rate. Now, a few years ago you could get 1.5%, 2%, but those days I believe they're pretty much long gone. I rarely see anybody get more than 1%. 0.5% is a reasonable expectation. That's about what we get. So if you take 10,000 pieces, you get a 0.5% response, then you might be able to get in front of 50 people. But that's not a big number. And that's a lot of money to spend to get in front of 50 people. But at least you know that's pretty predictable, right? Now, of those 50 people, based on your presentation ability and your closing skills, can you get appointments set with 15 of those people? Or at least 15 qualified prospects? If you can, that's good. That's average. So now you've got 15 people you're going to meet within your office. And of those people, if you have a 40% close ratio, you might get 6 new clients. This is an example. Now, you have to figure out how much money did I spend on my public seminar, and then how much revenue did my firm generate from those 6 clients. And if the number is big enough to pay for your seminars and earn you some money, and it's decent enough money that it's worth your time, keep doing them. Because here's the other unseen benefit of public seminars. When you mail out 10,000 pieces into your community, a lot of people see it. Even if they throw it away and don't call you and don't come to your seminar, it's a lot of name and brand recognition, and you can't really quantify the value of that. So what we've found in our area is that over the years doing a seminar every month, people learned our name. They learned who we were, and then maybe they hear about us through a friend and they go, oh, yeah, I get their workshop invitations in the mail. Yeah, I think I'll go to one of those. And then the next time we mail them, they go. So calculate your ROI. Make sure it's paying off. But don't forget about the unseen value as well. This will not be your primary source of revenue, but it may be one good source. All right, all that being said, this is the foundation. Let's talk about the specifics. Let's get down to it. We're going to talk about each key aspect of planning successful public seminars. One at a time. Here we go. You have to choose relevant, emotionally compelling, and targeted topics. Why do I say this? Because the old days of doing Income for Life seminar or How to Protect Your Retirement Lifestyle seminar, those are generic topics that have been played and overplayed by annuity salespeople over and over and over again. So people do not respond to that. They will recognize that immediately as a sales pitch and not as information they want. So the relevance piece is really critical. We've found we actually do a new public seminar topic every single quarter. We change the topic quarterly because the issues change quarterly. The data changes quarterly. And rather than brand ourselves as product salesmen, we want to brand ourselves as educators. And so people may not respond to a topic today because it's not an issue they care about. But next quarter, the new issue might be something they care about. And so we change it. Don't rely on the same seminar. Change it so it's relevant. Emotionally compelling, this is critical too. Now, we use a combination of images, fonts, colors, textures, sizes, word choice. All those things go into play to try to make our invitations emotionally compelling. And yes, we do think about that. It's part of marketing. We want to stir something inside people. And what we stir depends a lot on what's happening, what they're hearing on the news and the television and the radio, and when they listen to CNBC, what their neighbors are talking about. For example, if it's a time of really, really high tension and people are really nervous about what's going on, we might try to evoke a feeling of safety through our mail piece, that if they come to the seminar, they're going to learn things that will make them feel at peace and safe. But if we're in a period of relative safety and everybody feels at peace and safe, we might try to stir a little bit of fear and uncertainty and doubt through the seminar invitation, you see. So we recognize that times are different and we adjust to those. I'll show you some sample invitations in a minute. The other way to do seminars successfully is to make them highly targeted. In other words, the topic directly relates to the recipient. You could do a seminar for a select group of people, such as women, such as professionals, such as retirees, such as, and so on. Whatever it is, doctors, lawyers, whatever you want to do, whatever works for your practice. So you pick a target, you cater everything about that invitation to that target, and you'll have a higher success rate. So those are the key things about choosing the topic: relevant, emotionally compelling, and targeted. The second thing about this is you have to package it well. It must be attractive and eye-catching. If you do a one sheet of paper and it's all black and white and it has your topic on it and it says free lunch, people are going to come because some people want free lunch. But if you want to differentiate yourself as a quality organization, use quality materials. This is part of your branding. Everything that you send out to the public eye says something about you. So don't pinch pennies to save on color printing versus black and white printing and preserve a few $100. Your business image is at stake here. If you can't afford to spend a few extra $100 for color and gloss, you probably can't afford to be doing a public seminar. So make sure they're nice, they represent you well. And don't use wedding style invitations. And I'm not knocking any of these seminar marketing companies out there. I mean, that's not what we are. This is one thing we do. But frankly, I could care less whether you use us for public seminar marketing or not. I want you to be successful through our advice and the tools we provide. But I don't make any money off of that. So I'm just telling you this because we have the same problem ourselves. We've tried wedding style invitations right at Frost & Frost Financial, and we don't get the same results. And here's the reason. People have seen them a million times. Everybody knows what they are. They are immediately identified as junk mail. If you send a postcard or some type of folded piece, which we're experimenting with now, by the way, we won't share it with you until we've tested it and we know it works. Maybe an oversized postcard to make it look really sharp or be more eye-catching. Something that will stand out in their mailbox. That's very important. And you want to, as you develop the mailers, do a couple other things. You want to make sure you showcase your credentials. So if you are an advisor who has some special designations or a radio show or you've written some articles or you've been quoted in the Wall Street Journal or anything like that, put it right on your invitation. As seen on CNBC, as heard on News Talk 103.5, as ... right? Certified financial planner. What does it mean to be a CFP? And you put a little explanation of that on there. So whatever your credentials are, showcase them. Use a nice picture of yourself. It endears people to you. And make sure your bullet points are powerful. This is part of that relevant idea. We put a lot of thought into our bullet points. We really analyze every single word. And I'll give you some examples right now. Let me show you a few recent invitations that we've sent out that we've had success with. This is one we do every single April, and we change the mailer and we change the topics. But we do it annually because it's popular. So if you hold this anytime between March and April, people are thinking about tax season, and it's almost time to file, and they want to try to save as much money as they can. So that's the right time to hit them with this. This is the part of the timely relevant issue. And so we talked about tax law changes that could affect you, distributions, ways to keep what's yours, tax-efficient asset location, strategies for tax deferral, and so on. This is an example of an annual workshop we do that I highly recommend that you also do. Part of public seminars and making them successful is a cycle. Each year you cycle through. If a critical event happens, you jump on that. You capitalize on that critical event and you do a seminar about it. But there are things that happen every year. So in January we usually do one on new year, new rules, you know, what's changing this year, what happened last year. Around April we do this one, tax strategies, and so on. So we vary the topics on these cycles. This was very successful. We increased our response rate about 0.25% by doing this particular piece. Now, we doubled our response rate with this piece. We got twice the attendance we have out of any seminar ever by doing this one. And we have, between Platinum and Frost & Frost, we have about 14 female employees. And I can tell you that every single one of them helped us develop this piece. There was verbiage in the topics that they helped us change and tweak. They said it was too masculine. We made it more feminine. We worked through it with them so it was appealing. And this whole piece, because it addressed specific needs of women and widows and women professionals and some of the specific challenges that women face, was very successful in helping us get new clients as well. Some of our clients out in the West Coast that deal with a lot of same-sex couples, they also had very good success with this. So again, highly targeted. Here's another example. Now this is in black and white on the screen, and I don't know why when I moved it over it showed up this way. This is coming out next week, and it's actually very vivid color. So again, I don't know what happened with my screen here. But notice these bullet points. I want to go through these together because this really illustrates the timeliness when you're developing a seminar mailer that's so critical. Will the U.S. federal government budget deficit lead to another financial crisis? Big issue right now. Will increased taxation deplete my retirement savings and lower my income? How could the upcoming presidential election affect investment performance? Those are big questions. All, notice, located over the United States continent, right? And then we move over. Is the debt crisis in Europe resolved, or is this just the calm before the storm? Could rising gas prices derail the global economic recovery? How could instability in the Middle East affect this issue? Right? And you see, with growth slowing in China, how will it affect the rest of the world? You see these bullet points. These are timely topics. And this invitation is designed to help people address their questions about investing in a time of uncertainty. And that's what we live in right now. You know, I just read in the back of Registered Rep magazine, I don't know if you subscribe to that, but there was a statistic about the times the stock market moved more than 3% intraday between 2004 and 2007. Zero. 0 times. Do you know how many times it moved more than 3% intraday in 2011? 12 times. What does that tell you about uncertainty? It's no wonder people are on edge. So we're going to address that through this workshop. Look for this next week. The invitation, the presentation, I'm sure this is going to be very successful. We just mailed it out, and we're already getting a tremendous response here locally in our own firm. So attractive, eye-catching materials, powerful bullet points, showcase your credentials. Next point, you need to have the right audience. Now this is challenging because it's all about buying list data, right? I mean, that's tough. And maybe you've tried all the different list companies out there, and there's a million of them. And I've tried a million of them. Here's what I've pretty much found. They're all pretty much the same. Honestly, I've not gotten significantly better results out of any of them. The company that I use now, Alesco, and the one that we recommend to you, our members, I use them because they're consistent, the service is good, they have key drivers that I like to use to help uncover people that actually have assets. And so I recommend them to you. But when it comes to list data, it's not necessarily bad if you use somebody else. Again, I don't see a big difference. However, here's something that you want to think about. If you live in an area, this is a whole new idea for you, okay? I'm going to save you some money on list mailings, and I'm going to tell you something that will require a little bit of legwork on your part, but could work extremely well. We've been doing it with a lot of success. If you live in an area where you can drive around in your car and pick out specific neighborhoods, communities, where you are confident that your ideal clients might live, and you can write down the cross street of the entrance of that community, or a few of the roads, and maybe a range of numbers in that community. Here's what can happen. The local post office can provide you with not just the zip codes, but the +4s for each of those zip codes. Did you get that? The +4s at the end of a zip code are routes. They're smaller areas within a zip code. And what's nice is that route could be something as small as a single neighborhood. In fact, they are often single neighborhoods. So you can drop a piece just to the people who live in that neighborhood, and you don't have to buy a list. Now, the drawback is that you can't direct mail. So you can't have it go to John Smith, for example. It would say to current resident. So it's less personalized. But we've found if you use something like a high-gloss, eye-catching postcard, that's okay because they're responding to the idea and to the topic. By the way, I'll just pause for a second and mention I am getting some questions. I don't want you to think I'm ignoring those questions. Some of them I will address later in the WebEx, so bear with me, okay? One person just asked what was the name of that list company again. It was Alesco. That's A-L-E-S-C-O, Alesco Data. And your relationship manager here at Platinum can also connect you with our account manager over there through whom you'll get a discount. Now, once you drive through your area and you get the zip codes and the +4s that you want to mail, you can give those to us, and we can mail those people. It's called EDDM. And it's cheaper than mailing first class, too. You'll save money on postage. That's one way to get to the right audience. Now, this becomes a challenge if your clients are spread out all over the country. I understand that. But for some people, this works, so it's something to think about. Another option is there are professional data services such as InfoUSA. And InfoUSA actually has specific lists of professionals you can buy, such as doctors and so on. By the way, I'll mention again, we're getting some great questions. Bear with us. We will get to all those today throughout the call. So make sure you have the right audience, okay? Make sure you pick the right list data or the right neighborhoods or the right target audience. That's critical. The next thing you need to look at is the venue where you locate your workshop. Remember, the venue you choose will also say something about you. So you want to make sure that it is a well-known venue, that it is conveniently located for people to drive, that it is a reputable establishment, perhaps even classy or upscale. And yes, I hate to say it, but I believe you do have to provide meals. We've had seminars at country clubs and hotel conference centers, and we never get the attendance we would if we provide meals. And yes, when you provide meals, you always get some people who are there just for the meal, and it's an unfortunate side effect. Hopefully you can begin to screen those people out over time when they call to RSVP and you take their name and you know they've been to 10 seminars. You can stop that. But you really do need to provide food because food motivates everybody. And if you're going to take time during your lunch break from work and you're going to go have a meal and listen to a seminar, having the meal makes it worth it. Like, hey, even if I don't like what this person has to say, at least I'm going to get a free lunch out of the deal. And if you're a retiree and instead of playing golf, you're going to go take the afternoon and go to a seminar, you want to make sure that you're going to at least have some reward for doing so. And that's why I think the meals are important. Now, an alternative that some of our members have done successfully relates to having them at universities. Now, if you have a connection, you can get into a university. You may even be able to charge for attendance. Some of our members do that. They actually host these events because they're educational and investment-based, and we don't talk about products in our seminars that we provide to you. They're able to get into universities and say, look, I'm going to educate these people about current financial topics, about the economy, about the stock market, about investing options that they can apply themselves if they want to. And sometimes even the local university will work with them to help promote that. So that can be a possibility. We don't help you with that. You would have to really lay the groundwork yourself. But that is an alternative good location. Regarding picking the venue, the only other thing I would mention is don't put a picture of the meal on your invitation. It's not about the food, right? We don't draw attention to the food. The food is a byproduct. But use the logo of the restaurant if they will give you permission to draw attention to it, so it's something people recognize. We like to do ours at like a Bonefish Grill. I don't know if you have those in your area, but it's an upscale but not as expensive as like a Ruth Chris. They don't open until dinner time, so if we do them at lunchtime, we can have the restaurant to ourselves and it's quiet. They give us a plate for under $20. So they actually cut the portion sizes down a little bit, serve a small salad. You can negotiate those things with the restaurant. You can say, hey, look, you don't have to serve a 6-ounce chicken breast. You know, let's serve a 4-ounce chicken breast. How much can I save? And help trim a little bit of the expense that way. Next, you need to do it at the correct time. Now, I'm not going to tell you what the correct time is. Now, typically, this is an average. Now, and I'm not telling you the correct time, and I'll get to why in a second. But on average, Tuesdays and Thursdays are the best days to hold public seminars. Those typically get the best responses. But that depends on your audience. For example, if you are inviting retirees, there's a good chance they have doctor's appointments in the mornings, early. They'll go to the doctor as soon as they can, as soon as they open, 7:30, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Have your workshops start about 11 at the earliest, or do them in the mid-afternoon. If you're targeting business people, have them at lunchtime. By 5, they're fried and want to go home. But they will take a lunch break sometimes for something they want to hear. and go slip over between noon and 1, right? Have lunch and listen to a seminar. So ask yourself, how well do I really know my target audience? Do you know their scheduling patterns? You've got to figure that out if you're going to get the highest response rate you possibly can. Next, in your workshops, do not talk product. Talk concepts. Product seminars and product pitches attract small clients. Now, if you're looking to pick up people that have $50,000 accounts, talk about products, because that's what they're looking for, a product solution. But if you want to pick up more affluent investors, you've got to talk about concepts. And don't be afraid to talk about high-level concepts. And don't be afraid to mail people something that says this workshop is for high net worth investors. Alex sent me a question a little while ago and asked me, can mass mailing to the affluent hurt your brand? No. We do not believe that is the case. People that are affluent became affluent typically because they were successful in something. Many times it's business, and business requires marketing and advertising. It's the nature of your invitations that can be a turnoff to the affluent. Now, do I think public seminars is the best way to target the affluent? No, it's not. The best way is personal introductions. The best way is through intimate client events. The best way is through charity events. And we're going to talk about those things in 2 future WebExes. So this is not the best way to target the affluent. If you get some affluent people at your seminars, that's good. And we do target those people, but it won't hurt your brand. It's just not the best way. But if you talk products, that will hurt your brand, because the clients you probably want are there to meet with someone who understands their whole financial position, is going to develop holistic strategies custom tailored to them. And if you start trying to pigeonhole them into one thing like an annuity or a REIT or whatever it might be, then you'll lose some credibility. So we really don't recommend that. The next thing is that you speak well. This is something that often gets missed. Even some of the best advisors that are extremely skilled at what they do, and they market well, sometimes miss opportunities because they never really learn to speak well. This is one of the best investments you can make in your business. Go ahead and go enroll in a school like Toastmasters or Dale Carnegie. If you can relate to people, if you can engage people, if you can get them shaking their head yes and shaking their head no at the right times, and if you can sense the energy in the room and pick it up at the right times, and they see you as a dynamic person, they will be drawn to you. They see you as a leader, as a powerful speaker, as a decisive individual, as an authority figure. But those speaking skills don't come naturally to everyone. And even if they do come naturally to you, don't take it for granted. Go get some refined training. Take a week off and go to school. It'll be one of the best investments you can make, I promise you. And even if you stop doing public seminars and only do it for clients, that's fine too. It will benefit you in that way. Or if you ever start to go into the media, you'll be benefited that way. If you have junior advisors giving presentations, offer this type of training to them. We can give you the tools. We can give you the advice. We can give you the presentations. But at the end of the day, the way you get up and deliver those presentations is going to have a big impact on your close rate. When you are structuring the nature of the workshop, when you're actually organizing your time, we highly recommend that you only feed people after you finish speaking. I don't think you should feed them while you're speaking. They won't be paying attention to you. It's a very bad thing. And I don't think that you should feed them before you speak for sure, because then they're full and tired, and the whole purpose was the meal, and you're a second thought, and some people might even leave early. And I can tell you, we've tried it every single way. All this stuff I'm sharing with you is because we're in a highly saturated seminar market, and a lot of people do them, and we've tried everything, and we've figured out what works and what doesn't. So believe me, we've tried it all. But what works best is if you have them arrive, you have somebody greet them. You can have a nice sign welcoming them with a picture of the speaker. We actually provide those on our website. It's called Seminar Sign. You can search for it in the search field. Put that up by the door. You have a friendly face to greet them. Sit them down. And this is the only thing the servers in the restaurant do. They only serve water. Do not serve tea, coffee, soda, anything else until after you're finished speaking. I guarantee you, if you serve coffee or tea or soda, you'll have more people getting up in the middle of your presentation and interrupting you to go to the bathroom. So serve water, and they won't drink as much, and they won't use the bathroom as much. So you have the servers put water out for them, and that's it. And then after the workshop, after you're finished and they've given you their undivided attention for 45 minutes to an hour, then the service can begin. They can go around and take drink orders. Now what we do to facilitate this process and make sure there's not a huge delay is we have a little sheet on the table for each person when they come in, and it has the menu selections on it. They select their menu item, and then the servers go around and pick up all those sheets. It's a limited menu. That makes sure that you don't have servers walking around, taking orders, answering questions about the menu, and it takes a long time and you begin late. They just check the thing they want on the form, and the servers pick them up and go to the kitchen. They know you're going to speak for an hour. The minute you're done, they can start running the meals out. So they can have the meals already on the hot plates in the kitchen ready to go. So as soon as you stop speaking, they run the meals out to people. Nobody gets frustrated because now they've been sitting there an hour and they're not fed. They come around at the same time, take their drink orders, bring them their drinks. It works beautifully. And now while they're sitting there eating, you have a chance to work the room. Walk around to every single table. Say hello, thank them for coming, ask them if they had any questions, collect their feedback forms. Many times what will happen is you'll see on their feedback form they selected they do not want an appointment. But we have on our feedback form, as you've probably seen, there's several other options. Like I would like information on the difference between a traditional IRA and a Roth IRA. Or I would like information on how to transfer additional assets to my children and grandchildren. Or I would like information on this or that. And there's about 10 topics on there. So you can notice they've checked for information on one of those things, and now you have something to talk to them about. Ask them a couple questions, maybe establish a little more credibility, and then you can say, you know what, I'm glad we talked about this, but you really do need a little more information on this. You sure you don't want to just come by the office and we can talk about that issue? Even if you just got 15 or 20 minutes, I could give you a copy of some information on that we could download and share with you. And then you get them into the office. So you might be able to convert some of those people on the spot. Plus, now they've engaged with you, so they feel more comfortable with you. So do work the room. That's another critical step. Some advisors say, you know, if I work the room, I seem desperate. I want to walk in right before the seminar starts and speak and walk out and look like a big timer. And you know, you can do that, but this is a people business. And so we found if we walk around and talk to people, we connect better and get better results. If you do not have time to do this yourself, you should have a person in your office who's really good at this, who can do this for you. Persistence in follow-up is critical because the people who fill out those forms and then leave are hot right then, but every single day that goes by will cool. And so the very next day, perhaps even if it's a morning seminar, the same afternoon, somebody from your office should be calling in to set up the appointment. No, it does not seem rushed or desperate. They've asked for it. Your office is responsive. And as long as you maintain the same responsiveness throughout the relationship with them, they'll respect you for that. They'll appreciate that you're responsive. And if they comment on it, wow, I was just there this morning, you're already calling to make an appointment? That's what your person should say. We always make a habit to call back our clients as quickly as possible. And so I realize you're not a client yet, but we're very responsive to everyone's needs. So that's a positive thing. Don't be afraid to call. And if they do not return your call, give it a couple days, call again. Give it a couple days, call again. After that, call every week for a while. We have a policy in our firm with our seminar follow-ups. If they say, I don't want to be followed up with, we do not follow up with them. We have no time for that. And we're not going to chase people who aren't interested. But if they say, I would like a follow-up, we follow up until one of two things happens. Either they make an appointment or they say, don't call me anymore. Because they're the ones who asked for the follow-up. We're just doing our part. So we keep those in a file, and sometimes those follow-ups move to 6 months. And then it's every 6 months a phone call. And would you know, we have set appointments with million-dollar clients who came in 2 years after a public seminar. Now, there's two forms of follow-up. There's those personal phone call follow-ups, and there are email follow-ups. So in every workshop, you need to stress the importance of your weekly email communications. So you need to tell people, hey, we send out a weekly email. And every week it has important information on the markets and the economy, maybe tax strategies. You definitely want to subscribe to that. Just put your email address down. I promise we won't send you any spam, but it's great information. Collect email addresses. Build your list. And this is the other thing that will happen. People will not be interested in meeting with you now, but a few years later sometimes, they will have been dripped on every single week by your email commentary. And now they've seen your name 52 times a year, and your face, and your logo. And the minute something changes in their life and they're thinking about working with a different advisor, I can guarantee you who they're going to call. Sometimes we get referrals from people who came to seminars that aren't even clients. You know that? Because they get the weekly email, they like the recipe, they forward it to a friend, their friend subscribes just for the recipe, and now we get referrals from prospects. Can you imagine? This is how you close the loop on your marketing. The last thing I want to mention on this, and then we're going to get to some of these questions, is that you should, once you've learned a public seminar and you've developed a topic and you have all this information and you're good at delivering it, there's really no reason that you can't offer to your clients the chance to get the same education. Why not, when your clients come in for reviews, add a point on your review agenda to offer to give presentations for their clubs and organizations. So you might say something like, you know, Mrs. Jones, I know that you're a member of the Red Hatters. I'm just curious, you know, I have that special workshop on women in investing. Do you think for one of your luncheons you'd like me to give that for them? Or you have an individual who works for Chrysler, or that's a bad example because they're not really in business anymore. But just let's say you have a customer who works for some Fortune 500 company, and they all have 401ks with that company. You might say, you know, I have a special workshop on 401k plan management. Would you like me to give that for you and some of your coworkers sometime? Or you have a CPA, your own CPA. You know, I have a tax strategies workshop that I give. Do you think any of your clients would be interested in that? So you look for opportunities to give these presentations for other business people, for other friends of clients, for other clubs and organizations. When people know that you're an educator, and if you view yourself as an educator, don't think of this as I'm a guy who does or a girl who does public seminars because I want to get more business for my firm. Think of yourself as I'm a person who's going to get out there and educate as many people as I can. And the byproduct of that will obviously be additional business. So just to recap, I'm not going to read these to you again. You can look at the screen. We've found these are the keys to successful public seminars. Now, when it comes to doing these, I just want to reinforce, because you're a Platinum member, before we get to the questions part, I want you to know the resources that are available to you, because there's a lot of them. Number one, everything that we've talked about today, the planning materials, the invitations, the presentations, the step-by-step checklists, it's all in one place. It's all on the Platinum website. Now, just in case you're not familiar, I just want to, before we take questions, I want to navigate over to the website and I want to show you what I'm talking about so you can find these things when you need them. In the public events section, I'm going to log in here. Oh boy. Figures when I'm on a live WebEx I can't type. Okay, here we go. So when it comes to these workshops, any of them that you pick, we'll just take this most recent one that's on here now. When you decide to go ahead and mail it, here's the options. You can download the original files if you want, and you can modify them yourself, and you can stuff them in envelopes yourself, and you can print them, and you can mail them. Just download this zip archive. That's what this is for. They're all designed. They're templates ready to go. If you want us to do all the work for you, we will. Just select customization and printing mailed to your list. Select how many you want to mail. It will calculate the postage cost. You upload the mailing list, and you're ready. We'll do all of it. Okay, and then you've got all the things down here that you need. So, again, make sure when you're going to do one that you download all the resources. You've got the feedback forms. You've got the planning checklists, the signage, the script for what to say on the phone when people call in to register. There's even the procedure for how to follow up on the leads, and of course the PowerPoint presentations are here as well. So make sure you're familiar with the resources that are available on the website and that you use those. The other thing I want you to know is that all of this is tested. So when we suggest that you do something here, we put a seminar on the website, it's because we've done it. And if we do a seminar and it flops, we don't put it on the website. So we test everything for you. Also, rely on your Platinum marketing assistant. That's why we've assigned them to you. You have your own relationship manager who is like another employee in your office. So when you're planning your workshop and you're trying to decide where to have it, call your relationship manager and tell them the options and ask them what they think. Talk to them about some of the challenges you're facing. Talk to them about the costs that you're incurring. Talk to them about the results you're getting. And then after your workshop, they're going to call you and say, how did it go? What went right? What went wrong? How can we help you? I'm just urging you, lean on that person for assistance because it really will make a difference. And what they will do is, by extension, when you ask them for assistance, they will look to other members here of the team, myself included, and we'll brainstorm through your problems. And if we can't figure out why something's not working, we'll get involved until we figure it out, or we'll eventually help you find an alternative solution. Now, we're going to take questions here now, but I just want you to know this was the second WebEx in a series of WebExes that we're giving. So we did client events last week, public events this week. Notice here what's coming up. Intimate social events is next week. Charity events is 2 weeks after that. And then we're doing social media and some other things. So when it comes to these public events, this is not the whole piece. You can't rely on one thing. You've got to look for multiple ways to drive business, and we're going to talk about all those things during the course of these WebExes upcoming. Okay, so at this time, let's get to some of these questions. Now, please, if you have questions, now's the time to text them to me using the Q&A panel or the chat panel, either way, and I'll address all the questions that come through. So while you're thinking, I'm going to start going through these questions. Our first one comes from Kathy. Kathy asks, what is a comfortable amount of attendees since no one is a client and needs to be available to mingle with a room of prospects? Boy, that's a really good question, Kathy. Thank you. We like to have a certain amount of energy in the room. So, we found that if it's a full room, that's best. Now, I mentioned that first because the size of your room should determine the amount of attendees. You can have 100 people in a room that's set for 500 and it feels like nobody's there. We really try to avoid that because we want people to see the event as successful. So what I would say is that if you have a small restaurant, a private area of that restaurant, typically those are set up to seat around 50 to 60 people. We've found if you take a chair out of some of the extra spaces and set them up for about 40, that's ideal. 40 people for us is a very manageable number. Between the advisor and an employee or two, we can touch all those people personally. So that's ideal for us. Any more than that, we start thinking about breaking off into a separate workshop. And any less than that, well, frankly, any less than about 30, it starts to get uncomfortable, we've found, unless it's a really small space. So that's what we recommend. Shoot for 40. Somebody asked me again what was the name of that list company. Here's what I'm going to do since we've got that question again. I'm going to actually instant message this to everyone. So we've got all panelists here. I'm going to send you two sources. The first one is alescodata.com, and this is for retail. We'll say retail. That's just individual investors, as it were. And then the second one is Info USA, and we'll say this is for professionals. And I mean doctors, if you're looking for a highly targeted list, this is another alternative for you. Okay, Josh asks, when you host public events, will you mail to the same list every time? Actually, Josh, yes. However, the way list providers work, you only have a license for a certain number of uses, sometimes only one. So it's important from their perspective because they'll sue you for money if you are using something that you don't have a license to use. So, and they put seed addresses in there so they know. So I don't recommend reusing an old list. But it may be the same criteria, but refreshing the list on a regular basis is also good for you because sometimes what happens is people move into the area, and if you're using an old list, you may not catch them. So as new people are added to the list, by refreshing it, you get access to those new prospects. This is another reason, by the way, if you do EDDM mailing that we were talking about before, where you mail to specific routes, if people have moved into the area, you always get those people because they could be the same day they're moving into a new house and they're already getting mail. So that's another advantage, whereas sometimes with a list, it might take even a year for people to show up on a list. Next question comes from David. He asks, should the workshop for women only be done by women? Have you seen a significant difference in attendance and acceptance by women when presented by a man? Ooh, good questions. You guys are doing great here. Okay, our firm, the only advisors are men. So I can't tell you the difference when a woman presents it, unfortunately, from experience. What I can tell you is this. We have different personalities in the advisors in our offices. There are a couple of them who are particularly, I'm going to use these words cautiously here, empathetic and approachable, friendly, and there are a couple who are a little more stern. And I can tell you that the advisors who have the most approachable manner, the most friendly countenance, they were the ones who got the best results at the women's seminar. Does that tell you anything? I'll also mention this. If you have a woman doing this workshop, that's great. I mean, I know we have women clients who've done it with a lot of success. So I would say for your own firm, if you've got both, do it both ways. See what results you get, because this is one that we run every single year. So it doesn't hurt you to do a couple of different events and try it. You could even do a split mailing. In the marketing industry, they call it split testing, okay, where you mail out 2 different invitations. Everything is the same, but you change one thing about it, maybe the headline, maybe the color. Maybe one is going to be presented by a man and one is going to be presented by a woman in this case, and see which mailer gets the best response rate. You just tie a different 800 number to each mailer and track that. So that's an option for you as well. So good question. Rich asks, will your company market a turnkey seminar for my firm as an introduction to your services without us having to pay the monthly fee? Good question, Rich. You must have been invited to this WebEx by one of our salespeople. This is really only for members, but we're happy that you're here. So I'll just mention to you that we will assist you on an individual basis with some type of solution, but we'll have to go ahead and customize it for you because it's not something we typically do. So I've got your name here. I'm going to talk to Andrew, our account executive. Looks like you've been in touch with him. So I will let him know, Rich, that you're going to reach out to him, and we'll see what we can do to assist you in some manner, okay? So I'm going to leave that a little open-ended. Let's talk more about your personal circumstances, and we'll see what we can do to assist you. Okay, let's see. Someone asked, they missed the first part of the WebEx. Will we send this out? Yes, it will be a video, and we will post this on our website next week. Okay, are all presentations and materials FINRA approved? Another good question. Here's what we do. As I mentioned before, we don't sell products at our workshops, right? We only talk about strategies. So the good thing is, if we don't talk about variable annuities, if we don't talk about mutual funds, if we only talk about concepts and investment products and strategies, we don't have to have FINRA approval. So at times, when we've referenced a specific product and we have to submit it to FINRA, we have done that, and we have letters on the website for those things. However, most of the time it's not necessary, and broker-dealers can approve these on their own terms. Okay, let's see here. I've got some more questions. Bear with us. Okay, Cindy asks, if they neither ask for a follow-up nor request that you not follow up, how long should we continue to pursue? Cindy says, we typically call once a week for 3 weeks, then send a letter, then stop if no response. Okay. Anthony, I want to get back to your question in a second, so bear with me. But Cindy, to address this question here, if they do not ask for a follow-up, and if they request that we not follow up, we will not follow up at all. So we have a little different philosophy on that than you. We only follow up if they ask for it. And we believe to do otherwise sends a wrong message. We want people to know that we always cater to their needs, not our own desires. Okay, let's see. Alex, you mentioned some areas where seminars are not effective. How can we check this? Oh, boy. Okay, Alex, I don't know how you would check that without testing it yourself. I'm sorry. Just to be candid, the only way that I know to tell you is to try it and do everything right and see if it works. But if you've never done them before and there's not other people in your area doing them that you could talk to that might have some insight to provide, I really have no way to answer that. I apologize. Anthony, to get back to your question about FINRA approval, you mentioned that your firm is very compliant. I will just stress to you that our broker-dealer is also very compliant-oriented, and we work with about 80 other broker-dealers here we submit our materials to who are very compliance-oriented. And the reality is our seminars are very compliant. So even though they're not necessarily FINRA approved, all of them, some of them are, but just because all of them aren't doesn't mean that your compliance department won't approve them. We've had very good success with that. And if we're working with you and your compliance department is not reviewing our applications or our products, then please let us know and we'll be happy to submit some to them for review. Okay, a few more questions here. Let's see. Jackie, do you provide the actual seminar? Yes. Everything is provided, as I showed you on the website earlier, invitation, presentation, planning checklist, handouts, feedback forms, and if you'd like a sample or someone to direct you to a seminar that you're interested in, just call the office and we'll get you to those materials. And one last question here, and then we'll close the call unless anyone else has further questions. Please, now's the time to message those to me. Alex asks, are there any suggestions on timing events for doctors? Yes, I have found in almost all cases the members that we have that target doctors do so at lunchtime, and that's how they have the best success. I've also had some who said Friday afternoons works, but I've never tested that myself because a lot of doctors go home early on Fridays is what I've been told, but again, I've not done that from personal experience. So if you are targeting people in the healthcare profession, one of the things you might do is I could connect you with one of our members who does that as well, and who does it successfully, and you could talk to him and try to get some ideas. Okay, well, everyone, I really appreciate your being on the WebEx today. I hope that you found some of this information valuable. It's really our pleasure to support you, and just remember, we are part of your marketing team, okay? So we did this as a group for all of our members, but the reality is we will help you individually too, and that includes myself. So if you need anything, please visit us at our website, call us at our 800 number, and we'll do everything we can to help make your public event marketing a success. Thanks again for your time. We'll see you on the next WebEx.